Hey people, welcome to the Run Testers. It's Kieran here. We are at the New Forest Marathon where I think we're about half an hour before we start. And I'm going to be doing a marathon test of the ASICS Metafuji Trail. Now out there ahead of us, we've got 26.2 miles of mixed terrain, plenty of road, compacted gravel paths. There's going to be a bit off-road, it's going to be a bit muddy, a bit grassy at times. Forest floors, it's all very runnable, all very kind of fast if you want to attack it. Exactly, I think the kind of terrain that the ASICS Metafuji is probably going to excel at. So it's going to be really interesting to see how this shoe holds up to those conditions. I'm not going to be running my very fastest, but I'm going to be pushing this in good form. I'm going to put in some miles where I'm going to be pushing my proper marathon pace. There'll be somewhere I rock back and take it a little bit easier as well. But I better go and drop off my bag, drop off my kit. Let's go do 26.2 in the ASICS Metafuji Trail. We're 13 miles down, the race has spread a bit now. We're coming through a bit of the open forest here, and so far the ASICS Metafuji done a good job. When I did my slow half marathon last week, I found at times when you're not really punching them that there's not quite as much spring. I think you kind of come into, you put them on, they feel a bit like a road shoe. Yeah, so we've run everything from these compacted kind of paths that you can see behind me. Bit of mud, we've been through puddles, we've been on grass, a bit of forest floor, road, lots of road, pretty much everything. Really good test for the ASICS Metafuji Trail. And so far they're running really well. I mean, when they come into their own really is on the road, there's so much cushioning to the shoe that it feels like a road shoe. And not unlike one of the faster kind of super trainer road shoes as well. There's energy coming back from that big sort of Piva midsole foam. There's, I'd say, not that much stability in the shoe. It doesn't take a lot to wobble you on these. Yeah, I'm not running over anything particularly technical here, but if you hit certain big stones and stuff, yeah, you do feel the roll. It would worry me if I was taking on more technical trails where you need a bit more control. But for this runnable stuff, it's been good so far. Sometimes I found it a little soft. Sometimes I've wanted a little bit more stiffness and a bit more snap. But overall, I think, yeah, it's helped me to halfway. When you really find out what a shoe's made for, though, is in the next 13, so we're going to see. So it's done. 306, 307, 308, I don't know, something like that. That's a PB on this course. Ran my little heart out there. And the shoes held up well. I'm going to go and get a drink of water, then I'll do a little wrap on how the shoes held up. New Forest Marathon number 8, I think it's done. So then back in the office, a couple of days after the marathon, got a quick word on fit for the marathon distance. And I ran the New Forest Marathon in my regular ASICS size in the Metafuji Trail, which is a UK 8.5, and I found the fit pretty good over the distance. And for the 3 or so hours that I was out there on feet. I like the fact there's plenty of room up front in the toe box, both for length towards the end of the toes and across the top, so you're not in danger of bashing against the end of the toe box. And across the top of those toes, you've got plenty of room to flex and wiggle and for your feet to expand. I had no blackened or bruised toenails after this race, so that is a big plus. Now, sometimes if you're up running all out, you can slide forward and less roomy shoes might lead to some nail woes, but none of that. I found it easy to lock in and get a good secure hold across the midfoot section of the shoe. For me, they held nicely secure. There was no slipping off the midsole unit. We had quite a few switchbacks, tight U-turns, and they coped fine when I was doing that. The heels also held well for me. Overall, I was happy with the fit for the marathon. And if the ride works for you, I think there's roominess here to cope with that longer time on feet, that longer distance of the marathon. Now when it comes to the ride and the run performance, on the day the Metafuji provided everything that I asked for that marathon on a mainly runnable, non-technical mixed terrain course. This was a good test in conditions that flip from sloppy mud, puddles and wet grass to firmer tarmac and gravel trails. Now I really wondered how these 4.5mm lugs would hold up through some of the slippier sections, but I got good traction, I felt in control. I still wouldn't choose them for really muddy or grassy races, but they coped well for what I did throw at them, and on the road they weren't too sticky, so there's a good road to trail kind of capability or versatility to the shoe. That carries over into the midsole ride as well when you compare the feel of the Piba carbon plate combo here that you've got to regular trail shoes. It's kind of night and day. This is soft and springy with energetic ride that's very happy on the tarmac and firmer compacted trails. When we hit the softer ground, I found I wanted a bit more stiffness though, as I mentioned earlier in the video. I wanted a bit more immediacy, and at times like the soft trail plus the soft midsole did feel a little bit sludgy, but it's another trail shoe that really wants you to move fast, and when you do, I think it really springs into life. So when I was hitting my marathon pace, it felt very smooth and energetic without being overly aggressive. Another thing I mentioned during the race is stability is not its strong point, I didn't find. You don't have to hit big rocks to feel some tilt and roll, and I had more wobble and movement from the footbed than I really wanted at times. But other big marathon benefits here include the fact that I had no foot fatigue. I felt well protected throughout from that kind of ground impact. The area uppers took on water but also cleared fast, so they never got heavy and weighed down even when I went through big puddles, which I did plough through at times to do that rather than kind of weave the course. Marathon verdict then for the ASICS Metafuji Trail. I think it's a good marathon distance shoe, and if you take it on a mixed terrain course that's not too technical with lots of runnable miles, what you're getting here is energy protection, a roomy fit, enough grip and a nice lightweight package that feels race ready. This shoe definitely drops into the mix with shoes like the Tecton X3 from Hoka, the Adidas Agravic Speed Ultra, and I think it sits somewhere between those two shoes in terms of its overall ride energy and the control and the balance and all of those things. Now trail shoes are changing pretty fast. Well, I don't necessarily think this is a shoe that I'd recommend for every runner to go and tackle really sort of steep mountainous technical terrain that's really tricky. I think for this kind of marathon where you look at it basically runnable stuff or a half marathon or faster training on easier terrain, I think the Metafuji is up there with the better sort of faster trail options. Probably the best compliment that I can give this shoe really is that if I was going out to run this race again tomorrow, I'd absolutely happily choose this shoe. So there you have it, that's been my marathon test of the ASICS Metafuji Trail at the New Forest Marathon. Definitely a race I would recommend. If you're thinking about a nice runnable trail marathon, go check that out. It's a great day out. It happens in September every year, and yeah, it's a real good destination race. Go check it out. If you're interested in other videos on the Metafuji Trail, we've got another first run where Tom's weighed in with his views from his early miles in the ASICS Metafuji Trail. We'll have our full review of this shoe coming up soon on the channel once we've all done our testing. If you're interested in other trail shoes, I'm going to pop a video up on the channel you should watch now. As ever, thanks for stopping by. We hope you found the video useful and informative. We will hope to see you again soon on the channel, and in the meantime, happy running, people.